Alrighty guys, we're back for some Copy Soldiers, and this is a March of the Machine, the Aftermath Standard Brew. We're going to go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked, but first things first, for anyone who may not know, I'm Redcat and I play aggro decks and any decks with a red in them as well, so I hope that sounds fun to ya. Also, we do got that Discord link down in the description if you're interested in joining that up. Okay, what do we got in the build here? This one's based around copying important soldiers and humans with Blade of Shared Souls. This is a 3-mana artifact equipment with 4 Mirrodin, so when it enters it gets a little rebel and then attaches itself to it. The equip cost is only 2, and whenever Blade of Shared Souls becomes attached to a creature for as long as Blade of Shared Souls remains attached to it, you may have that creature become a copy of another target creature you control. So what we're trying to do with this then is copy like key soldiers like Valiant Veteran, for example. So that way they boost each other. So other soldiers you control get +1/+1, and also, you know, it'll buff all of our other soldiers too. Unfortunately, this is not a human though, and the other card that we're wanting to copy with Blade of Shared Souls is actually Coppercoat Vanguard, which is a new uncommon, which is really nice, right? Uncommon from the Aftermath. So it's a 2-mana 2/2 human soldier. So luckily it's a soldier, so it does get buffed by the veteran. Each other human you control gets +1/+0 and has Ward 1. That is awesome, because if you end up copying this, then of course they'll buff each other and give each other Ward 1. While if you have multiple of these on the board, I believe the Ward 1s stack. So if you have like 2 different variations of Ward 1, the opponent would have to pay both of them, which is really cool. So if we end up copying either of these creatures, we're going to be very happy. And there's actually other ways to copy other than Blade of Shared Souls. We have Mindlink Mech in here too as a 3-of. This is a 3-mana 4/3 with flying. It's a vehicle with crew for only 1, which is very important. Whenever Mindlink Mech becomes crewed for the first time each turn until the end of turn, Mindlink Mech becomes a copy of target non-legendary creature that crewed it this turn, except it's a 4/3. It's a vehicle artifact in addition to its other types, and of course it also keeps the flying as well. So honestly, just plugging in extra damage with Mindlink Mech is very possible with some of our 1/1s in here. We got more ways to copy. I don't know how important it's going to be or how often it's going to come up, but the ninjutsu on Thousand-Faced Shadow. This is not a soldier, unfortunately, right? It's a ninja, but it is a human. So since it's a human, it does work with the Coppercoat Vanguard, which is awesome. So it's a 1-mana, 1/1 with flying, ninjutsu for 2 and double blue. When Thousand-Faced Shadow enters the battlefield from your hand, if it's attacking, in other words, if you use the ninjutsu ability, create a token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. The token enters the battlefield tapped and attacking, so that can really like boost a board state. You full swing, you get the ninjutsu down, you copy a Coppercoat or a Valiant Veteran, you buff everything. If it's Thousand-Faced Shadow swinging with ninjutsu, then hopefully you're copying the Coppercoat, right? So that way you can get that extra damage in the air as well. But yeah, that should be... No, we also have Hulking Metamorph. Look at that, guys. I didn't call it the Hulking metaphor this time. It's a 9-mana artifact creature, 7/7. It's a shapeshifter. So it's got prototype for 2 and double blue, which is most definitely what you use it as in this deck. I really doubt you're ever going to hit 9 mana. Anyways, for 2 and double blue, it's a 3/3. You may have Hulking Metamorph enter the battlefield as a copy of an artifact or creature you control, except it's an artifact creature in addition to its other types, and its power and toughness are equal to Hulking Metamorph's power and toughness. So artifact or creature you control is going to be pretty important, because you can have it enter as Blade of Shared Souls, for example, or a Mindlink Mech too. So that's pretty neat, guys. It's a pretty solid card overall, and you can do crazy things like curve out with a turn 3 Skystrike Officer into a turn 4 Hulking Metamorph, immediately copy Skystrike Officer. I'll tell you what, the more of these you got flying in the air, it's really powerful, man. It runs away with games. We got 2 of them. So Pretty sure you guys know Skystrike Officer at this point. It's a 3-mana 2/3 with flying. When it attacks, you create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. Then you can tap 3 untap soldiers you control to draw a card. This is great, a great way to get some card advantage. Now, the soldiers are not human. They are just soldiers, so those soldiers will not get buffed by the Coppercoat Vanguard, unfortunately, right? All right, what else do we got in here, guys? For removal, of course, a couple Brutal Cathars. We got a couple Fateful Absence and a couple Elspeth Smite. I've really been enjoying Elspeth Smite recently. So it's a 1-mana instant. It deals 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. The exile on that happens to be pretty important a lot of times. I like that we can just use this as a great combat trick. Like 3 damage for 1 mana is pretty darn good, guys. Yeah, so we're not rocking Thalia, which is over here in the honorable mentions, of course. Since we're not rocking that Thalia, we were able to actually squeeze in the Elspeth Smite and the Fateful Absence and opt for less Brutal Cathars in this deck. So that's just something to think about, though. Thalia being in the honorable mentions, it happens to be a very important card in Soldiers. And since it's a human soldier, it works with both our Veteran and our Vanguard. And I'll tell you what, man, boosting up a Thalia to a 3/1 first strike, that's pretty hard for the opponent to deal with already. So having more ways to do that, yeah, we really have to consider Thalia, but we'll see if just having those extra key pieces of removal is going to be worth it or not. Also, while we're over here, there's not many honorable mentions. We'll go over the Yotian frontliner real quick. It's just a soldier. It's not a human as well, and I wanted to opt for as many things that got boosts from both the Vanguard and the Veteran. So Yotian frontliner happens to be a pretty good one to copy too, though, so it's just something to think about for sure. All right, I'm all over the place, guys. What else do we have to go over here? Of course, all 4 recruitment officers. It's a human soldier, so it gets buffs from both of our main cards. We have Resolute Reinforcement. Human soldier in and of itself, but when it generates that token, that is just a soldier, unfortunately. It doesn't generate a human soldier, so that will only receive a buff from the Valiant Veteran. Either way, going wide is going to be very important in a deck like this. So what's neat too is Resolute Reinforcements has that ETB, and when Hulking Metamorph enters, it enters the battlefield as the copy, so you should get that ETB as well. So if you ever have to just copy the reinforcements, that'll be fine. It'll be a 3/3 Resolute Reinforcements, and you also get that extra soldier, which is pretty cool, man. Okay, a single Harbin, which is usually the main reason to play Azorius soldiers to begin with. I would think, at least, the number of times Harbin has just won the game for the opponents, just on this channel, in video, right? The number of times the opponents just drop the Harbin as a little surprise. Swing on in, everything gains a +1/+1 and flying. It's absolutely disgusting. Only a 1 of in here. We're really trying to just go for that copy theme where we're copying all the important board buffs, you know? The mana base I thought about for a little bit, but I honestly probably shouldn't have. I think it's going to be completely fine. Of course, Soaring City, Seat of the Empire made the list, leaning towards white mana because that's what the deck is leaning towards. We got the Wastes in here. We got the Seachrome Coasts, all the fast land. 1 deserted beach, and mainly, like, you could probably drop this, but we do have to think about the double blue on the Metamorph and the double blue on the Thousand Face Shadow. At that point, hopefully you have 2 blue sources, but you never know. So we do have the 1 deserted beach, hopefully not slowing us down at all. It really shouldn't. Fortified Beachhead is an incredible piece of land for soldiers as well. So, okay, is that everything? Yeah, I already went over the honorable mentions. I think this is going to be relatively solid, but, you know, I looked at soldiers. I looked at what could potentially be the best aggro deck in Standard right now, potentially, right? And I said, hey, how can I make that janky? And then here we are, and honestly, it might actually be pretty good. We'll see, huh? Let's go ahead, take it into some ranked, and see how we do. All right, we'll see if we can get right into that first match. I mean, of course we do, right? The games have been happening very fast recently. It usually takes less than 5 seconds, which is good news. It's like no wait time at all. Good starting hand, potentially. Do we see the third? We have 23 land in here, by the way. I think I forgot to mention how many land we have. But yeah, no, this should be fine. Oh, nice. Immediately seeing that third is terrific for us. Maybe some Selesnya Toxic. Keep the Beachhead for now. We'll go Coast. We have Fateful Absence open, which is good because they play their 3-drop. Fateful Absence on the 3-drop is huge. They might play around like a Make Disappear though, but generally speaking, Soldiers doesn't have Make Disappears. That's worth the hit, I would say. Yeah, they can eventually bring it back, but... So some Selesnya enchantments. We can decline because we have a soldier on the board. And we're just going to go Skystrike Officer this turn. Which we probably wanted to do after combat. It's better practice to do it that way, but this is fine too. They were tapped out, so... Seal from Existence. Ward 3. Seal from Existence enters the battlefield. Exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until Seal from Existence leaves the battlefield. I didn't know this was a thing, guys. Ward 3? That looks pretty good, man. How am I just now seeing that? I might just use the officer's ability here. I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna swing. We're gonna use the ability. I guess we can do it on their turn though. No, I'm gonna do it now, actually. Crap. I guess second officer over Thousand Face Shadow. We just don't have enough on the board right now for Thousand Face Shadow to be any effective. Then again, once we get the Brutal Cathars rolling... Okay, let's go Thousand Face Shadow. I'll show the opponent that our deck is different than normal Azura soldiers, right? Hollowed Haunting. All right, they're getting ready. Like, we're going way too slow. way too slow. We might just want to play a Brutal Cathar for the sake of playing Brutal Cathar, just so we have more swings. Yeah, and then what we'll end up doing is we'll go full swing, Thousand Face Shadow the officer back. Well, they're gonna have blockers now, so it depends. It depends. It's probably gonna have to be second Brutal Cathar or Hulking Metamorph, I guess. Hulking Metamorph costs a little bit more. We'll have 4 open if we go second Cathar. Go full swing. How many open? 3 open? It's not enough for the Thousand Face Shadow or the Hulking Metamorph, unfortunately, but I think we still keep this back to eventually copy the Vanguard then. So we take the Helioid, right? Or the Heliod? I don't know, man. New set's released, and I'm like, how does one pronounce anything ever? So they want to block the 3-1. They'll take 5 here. We still full swing, because if they chump the Cathar, that's 3 less damage to their face. And Hulking Metamorph copy Vanguard could close out the game next turn, depending on what they end up doing here. We should be scared. We should be. This was a very slow start for us, and at this point they can just pop off with Hollowed Haunting and just wrap up the game, you know what I mean? Seal from Existence, hit the Vanguard. So now we have no choice but to copy the, hit Brutal Cathar, pay the 1. Yeah, they have tons of mana. Get Helioid back. Turn target enchantment card that isn't a god from your graveyard to hand. Catilda, number 2, hits the board. So being down at 5, I really wish we could have used the Thousand Face Shadow here, but it really came down to... So we can't have them having lifelink, that's for sure. So Hulking Metamorph, take out that Catilda. We're gonna play this just for the sake of having air power too. We can't swing into the Radiant Dawn over there. Tilda can come back, give that... Ah, we're in trouble, man. We're in trouble. We really are. Maybe I didn't play this one out very well either. There are probably some faster plays we could have done. I'm still looking at this Seal from Existence and wondering how I missed that card. Maybe I overlooked it because of the double white. Because, yeah, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls. Just the fact that it has... Wow, they say a third one too, Seal from Existence. Yeah, the Ward 3 on that. It's shocking, man. So they have the flying to be able to block the Thousand-Faced Shadow. Is there gonna be a way through? Is there gonna be a way through, guys? Is this the Catilda too, from the grave? Yeah, so we take the 3 for sure. Depending on what we draw, if we see spot removal, for the Catilda, we full swing, drop the Thousand-Faced Shadow, copy the Vanguard. 1, 2, wait. I think I got too excited too fast there. Soldiers get a buff from that. We still have 4, so we do this now. They could also draw here too. We do it before they have blockers, right? Trade out the Thousand-Faced Shadow, copy Vanguard. They have blockers on the ground. Let's see where they block. Either way, we got to swing. They're going to start getting lifelink here very soon. Dude, the spot removal off the top was insane. The spot removal off the top was absolutely insane. And Vanguard. Okay, good blocks from the opponent because now once we copy... So what we should end up doing then is actually copying the Cathar and grabbing the Helioid so that way we can keep the Vanguard. Because it was going to be 3 in the air. But now we just need to make sure that some of their creatures are gone. Which at this point, I guess they could just find more spot removal or gain enough off of Catilda's Rising Dawn. This is going to be 3, 4, 5 through, actually, because this is a 3-2. And the Coppercoat, yeah, they could see like a Tamiyo Safekeeping. It's actually 5 damage, guys. I wasn't thinking that we were going to get that damage through, but yeah, no, that works. Actually, either copy would have done the trick then. Either copy, because if we would have copied the Vanguard, they would have boosted each other. And so it still would have been 3 and 5. Cool, man. That was cool. That was neat. I missed the fact that 5 was going through regardless because of the buffs, but I mean, that's kind of sort of what the deck is supposed to do with all the copying. That was gross, man. We might want to think about more Brutal Cathars. The main reason there's only 2 is we have so many 3-drops in here already. The 2 should be fine, honestly. The 2 should be all right. We go first. This is a great hand. Gonna go Plains. Over the Wastes here. Alright, that's probably some spot removal, so we're gonna keep Resolute Reinforcements open here. Got a Blood Tithe? Sure do. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and slam the reinforcements on the board. Get ready for a good swing next turn. So Veteran would be the play over the Vanguard here, because it buffs the full soldier board state. Blue source open is fine. We'd want to make sure to keep a white source open there if we had Elspeth Smite in hand, which we do not. So they might think this is like a Spell Pierce then, or something. It's a great trade for us, because then they can't tap the Harvester next turn to take care of Veteran. So they must have more spot removal in hand for Veteran then, is the key thing there. Corpse Appraiser, take reinforcements. That makes sense too, but they still could have done Harvester, take Veteran out, and then Corpse Appraise their own Harvester for the extra draw. So Brutal Cathar isn't the greatest thing against Grixis builds, guys, because of all the ETBs with Appraiser and everything, and they have so much that hits the Brutal Cathar as well. So if we go Hulking Metamorph, we can swing with this 3-3 and keep the Veteran back. Or it's not a bad trade for us either, though. Alright, Hulking Metamorph. Valiant Veteran. And we probably let the trade happen, right? Nah. If they have like a bunch of extra spot removal, because they could take 3 down to 15, like that works too. Oh, you know what? You know what it could be? Brotherhood's End. I've been seeing a lot more Grixis builds running Brotherhood's End. That would be awful for us. That might actually be a nail in the coffin if it is. Okay, okay. 4 open over there, guys. 4 open. Another Valiant Veteran. I mean, that's kind of what the deck was supposed to do. Unfortunately, Vanguard doesn't buff anything on this board right now. So it's just going to be Valiant Veteran. And we have 2 open for a Make Disappear. Yeah, no humans on the board, so Vanguard looking a little bit silly. Yep, full swing. Full swing. I don't even think we play the Vanguard. I think we save it in case there is a board wipe coming soon. So go for the throat. And then a trade probably, right? I'm surprised they hit that one with the go for the throat. I guess they have a second one. Oh, that's rough. That's right. It's still going to be a 3-3 though. So they can block the 2-2 and take 3. No, they're just taking it all. They're taking it all out of the equation, guys. Since they're tapped out, we're going to get the Vanguard down. Double go for the throat was pretty brutal. Even though it wasn't a board wipe, that was still pretty brutal. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Brutal Cathar is great against Fable, luckily. And it has Ward 1 too, so... Until they take out the Vanguard. Nice, good draw. Recruitment Officer is a great draw. Second Vanguard would have been good too, honestly. We'll go for the swing first. Opponent definitely looking for their Shieldred. Or their 5th mana. Nope, they don't have... They won't have quadruple black for an Invoke Despair. If they did, it wouldn't hit us too hard. We just get rid of the Soldier. Vanguard has a big target on its back, guys. Fable, Cruelty. If it's Shieldred, we drop the Brutal Cathar. Full swing, man. 9 damage. So... They need something fancier than a Shieldred here. And if it is fancier, if we see a land off the top, then the Valiant Veteran hits everything on this board. Everything on this board is a soldier. Oh, yep, they're searching. They need to see their Brotherhood's End if that's what they are playing in this deck. And if we didn't go wide here, then it was probably going to start leaning towards the opponent anyways. Traxa in the grave. Okay, it's not your basic Grixis, it's a Grixis Reanimator, which we've been seeing more of. GG opponent. Nice. Nice. I'll tell you what, it happens to be relatively decent just being able to copy the already great soldiers that you're seeing. Even when they do have a lot of spot removal and stuff, like they really, really needed a board wipe. Then it would have been leaning towards them heavily, I would say. I would think so, at least. Alright, so far so good, guys. It's pretty fun. It's definitely like, if you're looking for a more, like a different way to play soldiers, it seems like an alright one so far. I think we could probably optimize it here or there, but more testing's required, of course. Alright, let's see. We're seeing a lot of the Brutal Cathars in our hand. I see no reason not to keep this. It seems like a relatively solid hand. I guess it would be nice to see one of our 8 1-drops in our openers, but you can't complain too much about a hand like this. Alright, we're going to keep reinforcements open and hope they don't just play a blue source here. Black source. Ooh, very nice. Alright, reinforcements on the stack. Let's do this, because they're tapped out. Exile target player's graveyard. Luckily doesn't affect us here. Humans you control gain hexproof and indestructible. Cool. Alright. Very nice opponent. Now, Brutal Cathar could hit that, but it's probably going to be Coppercoat. Ooh. Prepare for a blade next turn. That could be cool. I'm gonna play this as a land. If we had Elspeth Smite open, we're just gonna be swinging with the 2/2 because I don't think they trade there. I really, really don't. And we're gonna keep the other 1/1 back for now until we can start swinging with it more effectively. I don't think they trade. I don't. If we swung with the 1/1, that's an easy block for them too, so. Blade of Shared Souls, copying that Vanguard could be cool. And then we have another Vanguard to drop the turn after that too, so. Nice, wedding announcement, nice, nice, nice. Up against some new humans, man, Orzhov humans or something, very cool. We actually have Vanguard and the Recruitment Officer. Recruitment Officer was a good draw, so that's what we're gonna do. They trade here, probably, I would say. They don't know we have reinforcement. They probably want to take out one of the Vanguards. Well, it depends. They might be taking a ton of damage here, guys. And we're going to swing with the 1/1 to try to cheese more damage through. So if they go 2/2 into the 1/1, 1/1 into the 3/1, then we're getting 3 through. Getting 4 through here. See, they didn't know what was open. So that ended up working out. Cheesing that extra little soldier damage through is nice. A Recruitment Officer hits, and Blade of Shared Souls might... Oh, going wide, going wide. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Alright. Sacrifice. Humans you control get hexproof and indestructible. Okay, a Hulking Metamorph is open. But now we probably need to... So if we go Brutal Cathar, try to hit Adeline, they might use this. But Adeline's definitely the grab, right? It's got to be Brutal Cathar here, too. Because they went wide enough to where they could successfully block and kill everything, including our Vanguards. So even if we copy a Vanguard, it's just not going to be enough. So Brutal Cathar, and we have 2 ways to copy Cathar next turn. Now, they're going to get a full buff next turn from the wedding announcement, so it's going to be Adeline. If they end up sacrificing Dauntless General, that's not that bad. It's not that bad, guys. Oh, except the Indestructible is really good. Because now we can't swing. Oh. I think maybe they would have done that either way. If we would have targeted the Dauntless General. Pretty good. Pretty good, opponent. I like it. If they play a second one, we're in trouble, man. If they play a second one of these, because it doesn't need to be tapped to use it, so... Coppercoat Vanguard. Dude. What an awesome match. Just new cards being slammed down. Coppercoat looks really good, man. It's uncommon. I love it. I love it. I'm so happy they didn't make it rare. It's a great trade for us right there. Unless we want to stay wide. 1, 2. Reward 1. Blade doesn't enter as... So we'd have to pick up this. They have 2 open. I'm going to stay wide. We'll have the chump for the Adeline if we really think we need it then, because we're down to 12. We could see a soldier buff, which could be huge. So Beach. 1 more mana. Beach can eventually do a thing. Are we wide enough to just drop? No, we should. They have 2 blockers for the biggest things. They're still at 14, guys. So we should drop. This is a tough decision. Drop the Hulking Metamorph and attempt to pick up the Adeline. So I think the biggest issue with this is the fact that they might have open spot removal. And then we have 1 mana for the Ward 1. Yes, I'm sure. I'll pay the 1. They might have more protection in hand, too. Adeline's gone. Full swing. They trade Vanguards. And take a ton of damage. Don't forget, the Ward is on everything. So they need to pay the Ward. Oh, it's only Ward 1 on the Vanguards, though. crap, they're still in this with that spot removal, guys. They're still in this because, yeah, they hit the other Vanguard. And if they have spot removal for the Brutal Cathar, now they don't have to pay the ward. Crap. So I could have played that out a little better. Had I considered spot removal for the Vanguard, great play, opponent, great play. The first thought was it was going to try to be spot removal for the Cathar that took the Adeline, but they could just do that now that the ward is gone. So Blade of Shared Souls doesn't have a great target, and they still have a huge board state because of this wedding announcement. Yeah, dude, terrific play. I could have played that out much better. Spot removal, get their Adeline back, full swing, GG. GG, opponent. I apologize, guys. I really could have played that out better, because I could have even kept the soldier back to block. It didn't matter since they were taking the Adeline. Yeah, I was just too reckless there overall. Cool deck though, opponent. Super scary that, you know, Orzhov Colors has great pieces of spot removal to pack in there too, so very nice. Guys, I think we have time for one or two more. And I'll try to redeem myself after that one. That was a reckless swing overall. Because yeah, one piece of spot removal and both Vanguards were gone. Trying to think if there would have been a better way. If I would have held back, like the spot removal was going to hit eventually anyways. So if we would have copied Vanguard, let them keep their Adeline, maybe that full swing would have been a little better. Because copying Vanguard would have meant even more ward power for everything on the board. Oh, I bet that was the way through. I bet that was the way through, guys. But no. On the stack, they could have still hit the Vanguard, the first Vanguard. Then we still would have had ward 2 on most of the things. I'm not 100% certain. I'm really not. Okay, Evolve Sleeper. So it's going to be Fortified Beachhead, show Vanguard, play Vanguard. Right? Tenacious. At least it's not spot removal. Opponent going first there is a little bit of a pain. Seeing our 1 mana card is a little bit of a pain too on the second here. That's okay. We should be fine. If we start with Vanguard, then at least our Skystrike Officer, when it comes down, will have the ward 1, and they'll have to target Vanguard first, which keeping this on the board seems pretty good. Cut down for Vanguard. Well, they still have 2 mana open then. Hopefully they spend it on Sleeper. 1 mana open for cut down on Officer. It might be the second cut down. I wouldn't be surprised. Mindlink Mech is completely fine. We go a little bit more wide with a Thousand Face Shadow Vanguard play. Since there's a chance of a second cut down, I think that's better than the Skystrike Officer. How do you guys feel about that? So second cut down on Vanguard isn't too bad when we do have the Valiant Veteran ready to buff our actual soldiers, you know? I think that's fine. Mindlink Mech doesn't have haste or anything fancy, so it's probably going to be Blade of Shared Souls, depending on what they do here. Since they went first, they were able to get a good chunk of damage through. Soul Transfer on the Vanguard. We got a 1/1 on the board. Gonna take that damage, man. We're in trouble. We found our spot removal. I don't know if we can take another 5 next turn. If we take the turn to go Skystrike Officer, go Mindlink Mech, they can easily power this to a 3/3, and then that's a really bad trade for us. I guess it's got to be Officer, guys. Our hand is not well suited for this particular board state right now. We should keep a chump blocker in case, because taking 6 next turn is not something we can do. So if we keep both back as blockers, they can remove 1, and then we might still be able to keep a blocker. Shoulder's Edict, okay. So, Thousand Faced is out of here. 1 mana open, they can't make that a 3/3, so we can successfully block Sleeper. This is exactly what we needed to happen here. Is not take too much damage, so that's perfect for us. Now, Fateful Absence is fine. Mindlink Mech. Blade of Shared Souls is pretty fine too. We'll have a chump blocker on the ground. We go Valiant Veteran. I'm sorry, opponent. I'm thinking, buddy. We go Recruitment Officer, Valiant Veteran. We get a bigger swing in the air, and then 3 guys on the ground to draw after blocks. This could just be a cut down open, and it would hit Officer, obviously. And so I think it's better just to go a little bit more wide here and do our best. We probably still swing in the air with the Officer. Cut down has to hit the Veteran now first, too. We get a 1-1 on the ground. It'll be a 2-2. That's 3 open if we want to tap them down for a draw. That's why they'd want to remove something on our turn. There's a chance. I think this one's leaning towards the opponent, but there's a chance. There is. I think getting extra chump blockers is pretty huge, and they definitely want to remove something before we can just tap these and draw. Like, they do not want us to have card advantage. So before the blocks is what I mean, of course. Sheoldred is gonna wrap up this game. Fateful Absence, luckily. Probably what we do right away. So they don't have Evolved Sleeper. They're gonna keep that back, probably. Actually, do we want to take the 2? I guess taking the 2 down to 4 isn't worth it. Not when we have the Fateful Absence open to take care of Sheoldred right away. We're too low to just recklessly draw. Swing with Officer. It's too bad we don't have the open mana now, but it's really lucky that we had removal for the Sheoldred right away, right? So what we really got to be concerned about is good blocks for us and then spot removal for Veteran. Crap. We don't have an enchantment and we don't have a planeswalker. We're going down to 2 here. I guess it's got to be Soldier. I was just double checking, making sure we didn't have anything fancy to think about, but that's dangerous. That's really, really dangerous. So Blade of Shared Souls, copy Veteran, full swing is our only hope, right? Hulking Metamorph, I mean, that works too. Same concept, but bigger creature. Let's do this. Copy Veteran. Full swing. We'll still have 2 blockers on the ground. We got a full swing because we have to force a block here. This is 7 damage from each set, so it's 14 total. So we're forcing the blocks. And do they have the Invoke Despair number 2, guys? Hey, I think we put up one heck of a fight, man. Based on how bad our start was, I think we put up one heck of a fight. Graveyard Trespasser. If it's Graveyard Trespasser number 2, we're dead. There are so many ways for the opponent to wrap up this game. Guys, I think we got there. Blade of Shared Souls, copy Veteran. Look at us. Look at us. Full swing. I'll tell you what, man. Good stuff. It's 4 in the air regardless. Cut down hits nothing. I can't think of anything that this swamp could do. What about you guys? Can you think of anything? GG, opponent. GG. Look at us, man. The copy really works. When it works, it really works. I would have loved to see Mindlink Mech do a little more today. I think that really comes down to not seeing our 1-drops as often. And today we lost the Thousand-Faced Shadow pretty early on to the Sheoldred's Edict as well. Thousand-Faced Shadow happens to just be a great way to crew up the Mindlink Mech regardless, and then same thing with like Resolute Reinforcement being like that 1-1 as well. This was a good time, guys. This was a good time. We got lucky that the opponent didn't see the second Invoke Despair, because there are many, many times where Invoke Despair number 1 draws them into Invoke Despair number 2, and they do it 2 turns in a row and wrap up games, you know? So we got pretty lucky seeing the Fateful Absence right away for Shieldred as well. Not taking that damage was essential, so not drawing off a Skystrike Officer was huge there. If we would have taken that too, we would have died from the Invoke Despair, so... yeah, man, here's the deck list again. Good time. This was a good time. If like you're looking for something that's not just generic soldiers, I think this will be fine overall. I mean, you're gonna still have uphill battles regardless. I don't care how good of a deck you're playing in standard, it's gonna be an uphill battle. Everything seems so competitive. It's so scary, man. Everything just seems so good all the time. Your opponents could be running something that you think is jank, and then all of a sudden turn 3 Atraxa. Okay, not literally turn 3 Atraxa, but you guys know what I mean. Like, everything is terrifying in standard. So, yeah, if you're just looking for something a little different and you already have the soldier cards, I would give it a shot, man. The only thing new here is the Coppercoat Vanguard, which is uncommon anyways, and if you're playing soldiers, maybe Vanguard is a card to think about anyways. Look, it sucks that it doesn't buff the Valiant Veteran because it's a core soldier instead of a human. If this was a human, holy cow, dude, that would just be disgusting. That would be disgusting on so many levels because of how well these two cards would work together then. So even though there's like a little bit of anti-synergy between the two, there's so many reasons to have them both in the build because of all of our copy effects, right? So since we didn't see Mindlink Mech, I could see dropping down to 2 of these quite successfully and going up either another Elspeth Smite, which would have come in handy in a lot of those matches. Like, I think all of them, right? Literally all of the matches Elspeth Smite would have come in handy. I can't think of a time where it wouldn't have, so that's something to think about. Going up to 3 could be good. Going up to 3rd Brutal Cathar could be really good because of the copy on the Hulking Metamorph. Now, Blade of Shared Souls doesn't enter as the ability, so Brutal Cathar doesn't work with that, but it does work with Thousand Face Shadow Ninjutsu, right? So Ninjutsu, it enters, you get that copy, you hit something with that extra Cathar. So yeah, that's something to think about for sure. So I would drop a single Mindlink Mech and go up the 3rd Brutal Cathar, and then I don't think I would touch anything else. I think the mana base was terrific. We didn't get to see the single Harbin, but when you do see it, it's still going to be great. Either way, I think this is completely fine. We're not going super wide with soldiers because we don't have too many Skystrike Officers, but since we do have all 4 Resolute Reinforcements, you're still going to get a good chunk of soldiers on the board regardless. For the single Harbin, I wouldn't go up any Harbins either, because not everything is a soldier. Like the Thousand Face Shadow is just a ninja. We're really leaning into that copy. So yeah, I think that's all I would change, man. Drop the Mindlink Mech, go up a 3rd Brutal Cathar, and if there's anything else to change or anything you need to drop one of because maybe you don't have all the rare wild cards, I would go up that 3rd Elspeth Smite, and I don't think you'd complain too much about that. It's also an uncommon, which is really nice. That's the list, guys. I hope you had as much fun as I had today. Thank you so much for being here. For real, if you made it this far into the video, y'all are champions. I super duper appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one.